perspective. Let's bring in John Fortier. He's the director of governmental studios at the Bipartisan Policy Center. So, Mr. Fortier, former White House counsel Don McGahn skipped a hearing yesterday despite receiving a subpoena. Now, House Judiciary Committee Chair Jerry Nadler threatened to take the matter to court. What are Nadler's legal options?
Well, Congress has a number of tools in its toolbox that are just all hard to do and depend on others. So he certainly can continue to go to court and hope that a lower level court might stand with him, at least in part. But also he might have to go through appeals, and this is a long process. So he could depend on the courts. Most likely he's going to depend on negotiation. He might get some testimony from Don McGahn or some other bits of documents that he wants. But it all revolves around Congress being an independent branch, the executive branch being independent, and there usually is a need for negotiation, and it's drawn out.
So House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is, at this point, not wanting to pursue impeachment. What are some of the pros and cons of pursuing impeachment?
Well, I think Nancy Pelosi has seen this movie before. She was there during the Clinton impeachment and realized that it's not always good for the party impeaching the president. The country's divided, and there's a chance that it won't help more than beyond her base. Perhaps it'll rile up Republicans more. It's also a very timely procedure. It takes time, and so it may take several months. We're coming up on an election. We may be in the middle of primary season, and that may not be something that Democrats really think is beneficial to them at the end of the day. So those are some of the negatives. On the positive side, certainly her base in the country and many members of Congress are actually calling for it more. So there is some pressure to go that direction, but I think she is trying to resist that because of some of the downsides.
Yeah, she's definitely facing some pressure right now. I want to get your thoughts on one other thing. Some Democrats have said we're in a constitutional crisis. Do you think that's the right terminology to use?
I guess I don't. I think we have regularly constitutional conflict between independent branches. We may see it on a wider scale now, but there's always a back and forth between the executive and the Congress. And sometimes that's resolved very definitively by courts, but sometimes it really drags out over long negotiations between the branches. So I think we see strong conflict, but not a crisis.
John Fortier, thank you so much for joining me today and talking about this. I appreciate it, sir.
Great.
New York lawmakers have approved legislation that could impact the people closest to the president. In the midst of state investigations into the president and people associated with him, a new bill wouldn't allow him to pardon them of state crimes. New York's Attorney General and top Democrats in the state push for the law they say fills a double jeopardy loophole. Legally, a person can't be charged with or convicted